Now, this Dodge Charger is used in a police academy, which means it gets abused. Even though the manufacturer upgraded the brakes and drivetrain, today on Tech Garage, we're going to take it to the next level. Now, where is Brian?
Brian, report to Tech Garage. We got some performance upgrades to do.
Welcome to Tech Garage, presented by Advance Auto Parts. Now, these police package Dodge takes a lot of abuse, especially ours. It's used in a police academy. But you know, it doesn't make any difference. Whether you're driving a Dodge Charger or you're driving an everyday driver, we're going to show you all kinds of things that you can go out to your garage and perform. Real simple maintenance and inspection repair items, and we're going to replace some parts as well. We're going to start out in the rear. We're going to look at the differential and a differential service. This is a rear-wheel drive car, so that's an important factor. You may drive a pickup truck, doesn't make any difference. You're going to have a differential back there. You don't want to miss this. And we're going to look and talk about some drive axles. This one has some rear drive axles. You may have a front-wheel drive car. Front drive axles, same principle and same theory. We'll give you some inspection and diagnosis that you can use. Also, we're going to shift our gears and attentions to the brakes. We have DBA rotors here, which is a really good upgraded package. The slotted rotors and some Hawk pads. Whether it's a Pursuit package once again or your car, great idea to upgrade the brakes. Last but not least, we'll talk about some bearings. We got some hub bearings and hubless bearings. You may drive a pickup truck with a hub bearing where you have to go in there and pack it. We'll show you how to do that. Also, hubless bearings. Now at Tech Garage, we're seeing a lot of failures with these hubless bearings, so you don't want to miss this. Brian's already started in the rear. Let's join him.
Well, let's face it, Hemis make a lot of power. Doesn't matter if it's a Challenger, a Charger, a Dodge Ram, or an old school Hemi. They make a ton of power. And once that power leaves the transmission, it's the rear differential's job to get that power down to the road. So proper service and maintenance back here is required. Now, the job itself couldn't be any easier, but here's a few tips that could be helpful. First of all, if you're working on jack stands, consider positioning them where you unload the suspension. That may give you additional access to refill. Now, that filler hole is always higher than the drain plug, so that could be your friend. You might be wondering, why do I have a magnet hanging here by the drain plug? Well, the ring and pinion gears in there break down in bearings over time, and you could get shavings or a tooth of a gear. Other things could happen in there that I like to see that evidence in a case like this where we can't pop the rear diff cover. So I'll use that magnet, I draw it over toward the drain plug, and I'll just leave it there. And I'm going to try to catch a little bit of that fluid, and we'll inspect it visually to see if there's any evidence of a future problem there. I hope there won't be. But the process really couldn't be much easier. I'm going to start the draining process now. John, I mentioned the ring and pinion gears in there. Show us how that really works.
Well, what's going on inside of the differential, and why do you want to change the fluid? Well, I have it all right here outside so we can take a look at it. All starts at the drive shaft. Now, the drive shaft's coming in to this is called a pinion. The pinion then contacts the ring gear. That's what Brian was mentioning, that contact between the pinion and the ring gear. Over time, you're going to get some metal shavings from that alone. Not only that, you also have some bearings. You got some carrier bearings, and you have a pinion bearing riding in there. That's going to take some wear over time, so you don't want the metal in there for that reason alone. One more thing you want to look at is you may have a ABS, anti-lock brake sensor, right here. This is a magnetic sensor. Brian just said he uses a magnet to get the metal out. Well, think about this is a magnetic sensor. All that metal is going to track to the sensor, and it could vary the reading and give you an ABS code. So it's really a good idea to do that service. Now, one step further. Our carrier actually attaches here to the drive axle. And I told you earlier, we're going to take a look at a drive axle. This transfers the power out to the wheels. This has a plunge joint on the inside so it can change effective lengths. And on this side, if you have a front wheel drive, it can turn to the left or right. This is a fixed or a fixed joint here as it moves. Couple tips for you. You're going down the road, you got some clicking when you're turning to the left or to the right, you might need one of these. Or the boot itself's torn, you probably want to go ahead and replace that while you're under there. Good visual inspection's key. How's your fluid look, Brian?
Actually, John, to the naked eye, it looks pretty good. There's nothing obvious in there, but it does smell burnt. It looks really dark. this was a prime candidate for some service. Now, I can't stress this enough. You've got to use the right differential lube that your vehicle calls for. That's what the ring and pinion gears and bearings were engineered for, so use the right stuff. Additionally, if you're driving a Mopar with a limited slip differential, you've got to use the Mopar friction modifier. I can tell you from personal experience, if you don't, you're going to get some strange sounds and some clunking back in that rear end. So once I get started with my pump up into the filler hole and I get a little space in this bottle, I'll add the friction modifier right to the Mobile 1 to make sure I get the full dose, the full shot in there. Now, I'm excited about all the power we're going to get down to the road, but I'm really excited about what's coming next with the Hawk pads on the back and our DBA slotted rotors, John.
Yeah, well, while you take a short break, we're going to go ahead and finish up the rear end here. We'll get the differential done. We'll put some rear brakes on. When you come back, we're actually going to go to the front of the car. We're going to tackle the front brakes along with the hub bearings. We'll be right back with more Tech Garage.